Hello again, and welcome to another Last Week's News Today. We got a glorious dev update this week with a look at the Summoner at last. Although it was a small peek and much less detailed than I would have liked, I'd also like to remind everyone that it's still very much a work in progress, just like everything else in the game. Also, the Summoner will be available on September 30th for us on the PTR to help them get a little bit of extra testing in. Please look forward to it. The class itself looks to be a bit similar to the World of Warcraft Warlock for those who've played one before. The base archetype will have access to 3 different pets, or what are called vessels here in Ashes. They are the Guardian, the Hunter, and finally the Mystic. Other than mana, the Summoner needs to collect essence to use the vessel's special abilities, like the key ability Stomp for the Guardian, which causes AoE melee damage and high threat. For the Hunter, it uses the key ability Eviscerate for high single target damage, with bonus damage to the back of the target. The Mystic heals and uses shields as their main abilities, while their key ability is a spell called Recreate that heals an ally, or under specific conditions, it can be an AoE heal. Of course, it seems that these vessels will also have other abilities that we'll just have to find out about when we get to test them later on. But the Summoner itself has a few spells of their own they can use, like Spirit Shred, which inflicts a damage over time effect upon the target and will generate essence as it ticks away. This can be combined with Mortal Blast, which is a powerful AoE that spreads Spirit Shred to other nearby enemies, so you can rack up more essence as you fight. Another spell we heard about was Hex, which applies a debuff to the target. It has a timer that counts down, and in the example shown, it seems like damage done, or at least by Disintegrate, causes it to tick down faster for a large damage spike when it hits 0, and it resets Hex's cooldown. The Summoner can also use Extract Vessel to heal themselves by damaging their pet, and Siphon Vessel to steal their mana as well. Overall, seems like a fun, rewarding class that I can't wait to try out soon. What did you all think about the look of the Summoner? I know there wasn't a whole lot, but we got a sweet taste of it after all these years. Alright, here's some older artwork of what the visual appearance for your summons could look like, depending on which Summoner class you end up playing as. Up next is the Harbinger system, which I'm glad we're getting to test, as it does sound like it could be used by larger Zergs to grief everyone and lock them out of content very easily, as it can spread over a zone and linger about for days. It does sound fun on paper though, so we'll have to see when we get our hands on it to find out how everyone is going to interact with it. First up though, we got some lore for the Ancients and the Harbingers. The Harbingers are pieces of the Ancients' homeworld that were flung across space when it was destroyed during their battle with the celestial gods. The Ancients themselves were the gods' first creation, and when they were created, they were overtuned, who became corrupted and fought against their creators. This led to their banishment to the Void and the destruction of their world. The Void itself is home to many types of creatures in the vein of cosmic horror. In turn, they rode these pieces of their world to find their way to Vera. The way that the Harbinger corruption events start is through player action, such as killing other players, constructing settlement buildings, leveling up settlements, killing bosses, completing crafts, wars or siege initiations, and corrupted elites reaching the portal inside a Harbinger. Once the threshold has been met, the event begins with the arrival of an ancient commander from the Void Gate, where you can ambush them to try and stop the event before it truly begins. But beware, it will need a server-wide effort of players coming together at this point to stop him, as he is very strong upon arrival. Each one of these Harbinger events can have multiple different fronts, 3 potential routes that can expand up to 4 times for each route. It is entirely random how many will pop up. Also, the incursion phase, which requires you to slay Void Gate channelers and perhaps do a few time-limited quests, can last a few hours before it is potentially failed. After that, it will progress into the foothold phase, where we players will be able to build a coalition outpost to help push back the corruption that comes with guards, vendors, and a respawn point, as well as the ability to craft the Heartwood Infusion Crate. These will be used to help stabilize the Rootway lesions, which the Ancients use to gather essence that they need to survive with. And after all of the Rootway lesions are healed, it will make the Void Gate channelers once again vulnerable to attack. Once these have been dealt with, we'll have to continue to push back corruption to allow us to have a chance to slay the Ancient Commander, which in turn ends the corruption event. The entire event can possibly be finished within a couple of days once it starts, or take all month long to complete if things go horribly wrong for the players. So overall, it sounds like it could be fun with various lore quests, gore, and horror, buffed up monsters, players fighting each other for survival or for their own benefit, but it also sounds like it could have the potential to be a month-long gank fest for an entire settlement. Depending on the situation fluctuation on individual servers, of course, and how the Harbinger system plays out overall. Either way, I'm looking forward to giving this a test whenever they toss it into the PTR. What do y'all think about this system? Next, we've got sport fishing. The type of ship that is used for this system is called a Corsair. It has many attachments, such as a harpoon that can attach drag bags, which can be stacked to another player's ship to slow them down. Of course, the other players can interact with the bag and remove it from their vessel. There will also be a sonar type attachment that lets you see fishing resource nodes and other ships more easily on the radar, depending on how good that attachment is. There will be many more different attachments that will be added in the future, and they do want to have many different types of ships, from this quick Corsair to hopefully a slow galleon or another larger type of ship. There will be freshwater fishing nodes on lakes and rivers, which are safer, and of course saltwater fishing nodes out in the lawless oceans. There is also plans for a skill tree for sport fishing alongside the normal fishing skill tree. We'll also have a lure progression system to be able to fish for bigger and better fish. The different sport fishing nodes have lots of fish around visually, along with birds flying in the sky. Then you basically chum the water to get started, and it'll last around 45 minutes to an hour for now. Then you cast your rod. The time it takes to hook a fish is based on the quality of the lure that players use, and it will then initiate the minigame. Similar to other fishing games, if the fish goes right, you move your rod to the right, and so on and so forth, while you wear the fish down. Eventually, they basically turn into a corpse. You swim out and put it on your back and swim back to the boat. You can actually see what kind of fish is on your back, whether it be small or large, but beware of sneaky pirates. Really sounds like it'll be a lot of fun to play around with, but don't worry, there will still be AFK fishing if you're not feeling up to it. Can't wait to try it out. Next, in the feedback portion of the stream, it was said they are prioritizing a positive step forward for the economy side of the game, with some teams focusing on it for the November update. As always, remember that this is a process that we are playing alongside actual development, and nothing is finished or will be final for a very long time. We are here to give them our constructive feedback, and nothing is worth getting upset or stressed over during these tests. Nothing we are doing is permanent on the servers, and it's always good to take a step back if you're getting frustrated with how things are going, and come back perhaps when there's a big milestone update like the one in November. We all want this game to be the best it can be in the end of it all. But remember to be kind to one another, and I'll see y'all next time.